Namaste, Namaskaram, Vanakkam, Namo Namaha, Jai Ganesha, Aum Namasivaya. I thought today we'd do a video on Shiva and the Saiva Sampradaya. But let's always remember, Hindus, that we need to strive to seek a united Hindu family, Saiva, Vaishnava, Shakti, the three. So let us live in harmony. Follow the Dharma, plant your yoga tree. So whether you're Saiva, Vaishnava, or Shaktite, and basically those are the three Sampradayas of Hinduism, we want to maintain a brotherhood, sisterhood, and truly, if you look at Shailaputri, Vishnu and Shiva are brother-in-laws. So this is very important to have a united Hindu family. You can follow your Sampradaya with total sincerity, right, without making it the exclusive one for all. Right? Don't be a fundamentalist Vaishnava or a fundamentalist Saiva or a fundamentalist Shaktite. Right? So having said that, let's look at two acronyms that can help explain this and explain the Sampradayas, the NAT principle, N-A-T. Now this one across the board teaches us that our religion is a way, not the way and not no way. This is the NAT principle, N-A-T. One's religion is not the way, that's the T, the fundamentalist, right? And then it's not the other extreme of the New Age universalists or no way people. This is where we get the phony yoga of today. But a way, N-A-T. This will go a long way in general to quell religious violence, recognizing maturely and humbly that our religion is a way. It's not the way, and it's not no way, or it's not a universal way. It's for everybody that wants to do it, but it's not universal. It's not for everybody. Sadly, many Hindus fall into that latter category of being fundamentalist universalists, and often these are the Vaishnavas. There are some Saivas like this, but it's often the Vaishnavas, and you'll probably, especially in America, encounter more Vaishnavas than Saivas because they're basically in the north, and the people from North India came first to America. The pure, if you will, Saivism really comes from Tamil Nadu, from the south. Though many, again, all Hindus worship Shiva, as well as Vishnu and the mothers. So we want to be careful with that, but you won't run into too many just purely Saiva temples. There's a lot of Vaishnava influence. And it was this Vaishnava influence that really created this massive spurious phony yoga movement, trying to create a universal movement for all. And if you really ask them behind it, they'll say that's because Vishnu or Krishna is really God, misuse the Christian word God, that manifests as all things. So you have to be very wary of that. So, the NAT principle. Our religion in general and our sect or Sampradaya specifically is a way, not the way and not a universal way. Now, another important acronym we can use is the GEM principle to understand our three Sampradayas in Hinduism. And we often use the analogy of a gem that lies at the bottom of a river, and as long as the river is calm and clear, we can clearly see the gem at the bottom of the river. This represents the Atmana. But as soon as the waters get muddy and murky, that's why in the Yoga Sutras of the Saiva Hindu Guru Patanjali, he says, Chitta Vritta Nirota, we have to calm the mind so that we can perceive that which we are. Chitta Vritta Nirota Svarupe Vastanam. So this gem principle is really profound because it shows the science of the Hindu Yoga Dharma and the science of the Sampradayas. The GEM principle is gravity, electricity, magnetism. These are the dynamic forces of life. Gravity, in that order, from the weakest, interestingly, to the strongest. Gravity, electricity, magnetism. We can look at this as our own body. From the belly down is gravity. The heart is the electric heart, and then the magnetic head, the deity head, if you will. Gravity, electricity, magnetism. Let's apply this to the Sampradayas. You will note that mature Hindus who have an understanding and respect for Ganesha understand that Ganesha is always first, no matter what your Sampradaya. And that's because Ganesha represents the earth element and the important grounding or foundational work that we all need to do and maintain in order to rise higher, like building a building. You have to have a strong foundation. Ganesha, over here, he's the foundation. So that's gravity. And just look at his whole form as he sits there. It's not a coincidence they chose an elephant. Gravity. Try to push over an elephant, right? So we have gravity in the form of Ganesha. And if you're a Saiva Hindu, the electricity would be the youthful, loving warrior at the heart, Muruga Skanda. And then you go to Shiva Parvati, the deity head. Gravity, electricity, magnetism. Ganapati, Muruga, Shiva Shakti. Same gem principle can be applied to Vaishnavism, where you have Ganesha, and then Krishna is the youthful, loving warrior at the heart, and then Vishnu Devi. Now, in Vaishnavism, there's also a second way. You have Ganesha as the foundation, Hanuman, the third youthful, loving warrior deity, and then Sitaram. Ganesh, Krishna, Vishnu, Lakshmi, Ganesh, Hanuman, Sitaram. Simply profound, makes wonderful sense. This just shows you how to excel and accelerate your Atma Darshana, your spiritual realizations, utilizing the symbolism, the wisdom of the deities. You may have an inner experience, or you may just enjoy the symbolism and incorporate that in your life. So we become as Ganesha, as Muruga, as Shiva and Parvati, as Krishna, as Vishnu, Lakshmi, as Hanuman, as Sitaram. Now in the Shakti Sampradaya, Ganesha is understood, but then you have Durga Ma, and then Lakshmi, and then Saraswati Ma. Durga, Lakshmi, Saraswati. Same thing. There's a beauty in the Shakti Sampradaya because it actually explains. You notice we've been going from the ground up. This is because we're here. We're here on Mother Earth, and we're trying to ascend or transcend, which means to climb. Never confuse that with transvalue, which is what the New Age phony yogi people do. They skip over. They transvalue. Right? They pretend to be at the top. Got to start at the bottom. Gravity, electricity, magnetism. Durga, Lakshmi, Saraswati. But in the Shakti Sampradaya, we also understand and appreciate before creation. That's Ma Kali, the blackness of Ma Kali. Also represented by the blackness of the Shiva Lingam. So before creation, Kali Ma. The Big Bang of creation, Durga Ma. And then through time, the evolutionary process, the refinement to Ma Parvati. So Kali, Durga, Parvati. This is the gem principle. This helps to create a united Hindu family so that you can follow your sampradaya while respecting the other sampradayas and reach deeper understandings of the spirit plane, the Devaloka, and the material world. Remember, Ganesha is always starting with the material world, keeping a good, solid foundation in life from which we rise. So, let's look at Shiva today. Aum Namasivaya, the Panchakshara mantra, the 5 sacred syllables, the Panchakshara mantra. Na, ma, si or she, it doesn't matter if you use the H or not, si or she, va, ya. Na, ma, shi, va, ya. Na, ma, si, va, ya. The 5 sacred syllables. So profound, huh? Namasivaya. And if you're part of the Vaishnava Sampradaya, you would use Om Namo Narayanaya Namaha, for example, or you do the Hare Krishna mantra. So if you want to learn more about Vaishnavism or Shaktiism, you would go to a Vaishnava or a Shakti Guru, respectively. This is the way it works, folks. And remember, all of you out there that think you're into yoga, which remember is integral to the Hindu Dharma. The true teachers of the various aspects of yoga are Hindus. And remember, yoga has nothing to do per se with the physical body. That's Hatha Yoga. And by the way, that's the one that's supposed to be kept secret. If you look at our classic text on Hatha Yoga, and it's very much associated with Shiva because as Yogi Raj, he epitomizes the yogi in the forest. Here's Mahadev, right? Sitting powerful. And you also know the image of Yogi Raj, Shiva, sitting in the forest. He epitomizes the Hatha Yogi. But we also have many asanas for the incarnations of Vishnu in the Hatha Yoga. So Hatha Yoga is really pretty advanced. It's not supposed to be openly taught. But the classic scriptures on Hatha Yoga, the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, Siva Samhita, Giranda Samhita, the Siddhasaranta Bharati of Yogi Gorakanath, they all beseech Mahadeva Shiva. The Hatha Yoga Pradipika starts off with Shri Adinada Namaste Tasmai Yana Pada Hatha Yoga Vidya. Beseeching Adinada, another name for Shiva, and the ubiquitous Sadguru, if you will. He also uses this word Adinada, but interestingly, he says he's not a Hindu. Go figure. These are the universalist guys that have really distorted much of what is the Hindu Yoga Dharma. So in the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, it also says about Hatha Yoga, Bhaviriyavate guya nivedatu prakashavaranam. This Hatha Yoga knowledge is powerful when you keep it secret, and it loses power when you display it. And that's clearly what's happened. Due to capitulating Hindus, we're lazy in many ways. We're great at producing, but really lousy at protection. We let everything go. We don't stand up for the Dharma. And a lot of that's due to remember, the universalist attitude is, well, they think everything comes from Vishnu, Krishna anyway, or everything comes from Hinduism, so there's nothing to really critique. That's fundamentalist universalist stuff. Remember that, folks, the word Catholic means universal. So will the real universal tradition please stand up? So the Hatha Yoga is very strongly connected with Mahadeva Shiva. But remember, the word Hatha is an adoration to both Hara and Hari, or Siva and Vishnu respectively, and the moon and the sun, Chandra Surya respectively. That's true Hatha Yoga. These are Hindu devotional postures, seeing the divine through all of nature, through the creatures, through the Hindu deities, right? So, that's why we have Shiva as Yogi Raj, and we have this Panchakshara mantra, and we as Hindus, Saiva Hindus, we wear the Rudraksha beads. These are the tears of Shiva, if you will. You know, we don't have a whole lot of time on this video, but the tears of Shiva, we've done this in some other podcasts. They start out as little blue seeds, right? And Shiva's pictured as blue, you see up here. That's the etheric color, right? The blue. And so if he's blue, he cries blue tears. So why would he be crying? Well, you know, a parent, a guru, a teacher, for example, they may cry for two reasons. They may cry out of joy, or they may cry when their devotees just get lost in Maya. The tears of Shiva, Rudraksha. So this is what we do our Panchakshara mantra, Aum Namasivaya, Aum Namasivaya. Or we could do Na-Ma-Shivaya, the 5 sacred syllables. So to fully understand Namasivaya, we have to look to a very popular image of Shiva Nataraja, the dancing Shiva. So, let me see if I can put him up on something here. There we go. Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Beautiful, profound image. There's so many wonderful lessons here. And this is how we learn about the meaning of Namah Shivaya. Look, he's standing on a little being. That's you and me. That's our ego. That's when we're all children of the divine in a sense. Not children of God. Remember, God's a Christian term. That really shouldn't apply to you as Hindus. We don't use that term. And many do, of course, and we're trying to get them to not use that. But that's a Christian term. It's for the one male creator being. And believe me, when Christians say God, they're not thinking of Shiva. They're not thinking of Krishna. Certainly not thinking of the Divine Mother. So we want to nix that word. So he's standing on all of us as we're in this learning curve. That's why we've taken on these physical bodies as an Atmana, to learn. So we call that the Na, or the concealing grace. It's a concealing grace because it represents that as children and as adult children, right, not everything is revealed to us at the moment, and that's the way it should be. Just think about it for a moment. You should not be teaching adult subject matter to children. You let them grow into it. That's why it's called a concealing grace, right? And that's why all you people, you need to stop cursing around young children, right? That's not, even as adults, you shouldn't be using it. I mean, it's sad today that we did a whole podcast on this, the proliferation of the F word. Come on, people are becoming so gross in their language. Just stop and think for a moment. And I often tell people, can't you think a little bit higher? And we've all done it, of course. I mean, especially in moments of stress, we use these words. But when they become so casual, wow, especially the F word, Think about that for a minute, especially you ladies that use that. What does that mean? Come on. So if you think about it, all those curse words that we use, they're about the first and the second chakra. They're about your anus and your genitals. So just ask yourself, can I think a little bit higher than that? I mean, there's a time for respecting the anus and the genitals, of course, but if that's where our language is, that's where our head is. Our head is you know where. So, the concealing grace, na. Now, ma, two things. Ma is a mala, but a mala can be, this is a mala. This can be a divine chain, if you will. But we also know that there are negative chains, right? If we're bad boys and girls, men and women, right? We end up in chains. We're in prison. Prisons of our own making, right? And that's why, as Saiva Hindus, we wear the 3 stripes. Those are the 3 negative malas, the chains of lobha, krodha, kama, greed, anger, lust. The triple filth, as Saivas call it. So that's what the ma is, right? The concealing grace, and then the ma, we want to get rid of the mala of greed, anger, lust. Ma. And how do we do that? By putting, in this case, because we're Saivas, right? If you were a Vaishnava, it would be Vishnu or Krishna. Put Siva at the center of your life. It's the center of the mantra. Si or she. Put Siva at the center of your life. Namasi. And then what will happen? Look here. He's got the upraised foot. And the little being is looking up at the upraised foot. This is the revealing grace. This is when we have epiphanies, right? We've all had them. Those moments when you have a revelation, right? That's the meaning. That's what it is. Va, that's the revealing grace. And then what's it going to reveal? It's going to reveal you, the person looking at the image, who you truly are, the Atmana. That's the Ya. Na, ma, si, va, ya. Namasivaya. So this beautiful image is showing us the progression of life. Put the divine at the center of your life in general, but specifically this is about putting Shiva. Remember, don't confuse the two. Generalities and specifics. But this is where you can understand true unity and diversity, right? You can find a unity but respect the diversity. Other people can put the divine as they see it at the center of their life and then realize that they don't know everything. No, there's concealing grace. They sometimes are greedy, angry, lusty, right? That's the ma. And then they want to get out of that, have a revelation or a revealing process. And then they'll find out who they truly are. Others people call it the soul. And this is understanding the difference between generalities and specifics. Very important. Don't confuse the two. So as Saiva, not as just Hindus, but specifically Saiva Hindus, we do Namasivaya. Namasivaya. Now, this is what we do as Saiva Hindus as we move through our everyday routine. And this is a mantra that your guru will whisper into your ear, and then it becomes part of your life. So it should be always going on in your head, even if you're not saying Namasivaya, Aum Namasivaya, Aum Namasivaya, Namasivaya. But in our meditations, we flip it around and do Shivaya Nama. Now notice what you put at the center. You put you, the Atmana. Because you're trying to uncover that in your meditation. Your solo meditations, right? You don't want to do that while you're moving through the world, because then that's the tendency to fall from grace, anavasti tattva, and become a egotistical maniac. Remember, in religious life, the 3 deadly P's: picture, personality, and price tag. So forgive me for being there. Sorry. All right? But we want to be very careful in religious life about focusing too much on picture, personality, and price tag, right? It's people practicing principles. Namasivaya. So, look at this image. It also explains life itself. In one hand, he has the Damaru, and then in this hand, he has the fire, and then the other hand is in Abhya Mudra, right up here. It's a little hard right there, right? So he's got 1, 2, 3, 4 arms. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is Abhya Mudra. Abhya Varada. This one, we do Abhya and then Varada down. Everything's okay if you do the right thing. So look at this. Shiva in this image is showing us that life is creation. That's the Damaru, the drum. The dum, 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 dum. The heartbeat. Dum, 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 dum. Damaru Bhajaye. And then preservation. Everything's okay. Abhya Mudra. And then destruction. This is life. Life is creation. preservation, and destruction. It's going on all the time. This is the dance of life, the dance of Shiva in this case. And it's not a coincidence that we know as Hindus, we should have no problem with science. And this image is found outside of the entrance to the CERN, a nuclear facility where they do the particle acceleration experiments in CERN in Europe. This image is out there because it beautifully recognizes the dance of quarks, the quantum theory, the dance of life, creation, preservation, destruction. It goes on all the time. And look, he's dancing within a ring of fire. Ooh, fire's life. No fire, no life. The first word of the Rig Veda, Agni Mile. Fire is life. I think we might do two parts here because I'm using my iPad and we're going to run out of time here in a minute. So I think we're going to have to do two parts to this one. The ring of fire. Fire's life. No fire, no life. We live on a fire planet, Bhumi Mata. And it's because of Surya, the sun, that we exist. And it's because of the fire of existence within us that we are living right now. As soon as the Atmana, which is fire, is pure energy and light and love, bliss. As soon as that fire of the Atmana goes, what happens? The corpse gets cold and rigid, dark and stiff. Yeah, because the fire is gone. Because it's moved somewhere else. Because that's the true nature of us. Tattvamasi. We are the Atmana. Temporarily inhabiting a physical body, but at physical death, it'll just leave and it'll just be a corpse there. It's not the person that you knew anymore. It's just a corpse. The person that you knew was the Atmana that manifested into the mind and emotions of that specific body. And look at his hair. It flows out around him. And there's a little being right in here, right? And that's supposed to be all of us caught in Shiva's hair. It's called actually Indra's net. Actually, Rajiv Malhotra wrote a book on Indra's net. And some people associate in the Rig Veda Indra with Shiva, some don't. Listen to Vamadeva Shastri, and he wrote some articles about that, or in some of his books about Indra and Shiva, the connection there. And then look, he also has snakes around him, cobra snakes. Remember, to the Christians, the monotheists, the snake is evil, but not to us. That's the way life moves. Life doesn't move in straight lines, does it? No. That's for the mind of us humans, which helps us build buildings and create things. That's fine. That's the one. But you also have to have the zero, which the Hindus invented, to have the binary system to make life compute. So life moves like a snake. The waves of life. Sound waves, sight waves. What you're hearing right now is coming into you, into your ear, in waves, right? But also notice what happens when we have waves. Waves, when they reach an intensity, they spiral. That's the dance. Those of you that dance, you know how difficult it is to pirouette and do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pirouettes on one leg. That's very difficult. Remember Michael Jackson, when he was young, he could do, I think, 4 or 5 in a row. And watch, obviously, ballet dancers. So the pirouette is the spiraling, as the cobra snake, right? Spirals when it's getting ready to attack. It builds up its energy and spirals. And this is life, the spiraling nature of life. From the spiraling galaxies to the most intense things in nature that we find, the hurricane, the whirlpool, the tornado, the huge breaking wave pipeline for all the surfers. So in order to have a spiral, you also have to have the empty space in the middle, the eye of the hurricane. This is represented by Shiva's form as the Shiva Lingam, the black Shiva Lingam. Ooh, yeah. Embedded in a base. That's where you get Shiva Shakti, right? So we also have the 3 stripes here, Lobha Krodha Kama. So the Shiva Lingam, the absolute at the center. The no-thingness, which is the fullness of everything. Aum Namasivaya, Aum Namasivaya. So I see we're running out of time here. So we'll see you in part 2 of Namasivaya. Aum Namasivaya, Aum Namasivaya, Aum Namasivaya, Aum.